in AE Account Tax Limited, how we support trusts, CICs, charities generally, non-for-profit organizations, and some businesses as well, even in thriving and growing in various economic climates, is by giving them, free webinars like this and providing various services to them, including outsourced accounting, bookkeeping, advisory, independent examination. This year, we intend to help at least, let me say, 100 charities to achieve this status of adapting and growing and thriving, despite the challenges that we're having in the United Kingdom at the moment. And we're hoping that things will get better, and we look forward to that. So that's me in a nutshell. Now, we're going to start our session today, which is about creating more financial strength for your charity. We're going to discuss 8 strategies. And these 8 strategies are strategies that in one way or the other I have found out, and other professionals attest to this. There are simple things that can be done, and you know that simple things, we can decide not to do them as well. So they can be done, and when they are done, we experience the impact in our charities for better financial stability. So I will turn on our agenda and start to share my screen. I will actually start sharing my screen now, and we can take it from there. So it's screen 2 about creating more financial strength for your charity. So the agenda, our agenda for today is each of those 8, which we have spoken about. Understanding, one of them is understanding your charity financials, strong accounting and bookkeeping practice in your charities, effectively managing cash flow, requesting donations and grants promptly, implementing a solid policy for securing donations and grants, managing expenses and payables, anticipating cash flow shortfalls, and building a dedicated, capable financial team. Now, in introducing this session, I'll remind us that, so many charity leaders, they are so dedicated in raising funds to support the mission at hand. This is very good, but it does not ensure the success of the charity. It doesn't automatically ensure the success of the charity. There are raising all the fund alone does not build financial stability. How do we build financial stability? That's part of what we're talking about this afternoon. And what is financial stability? It is the ability of a charity to manage its resources effectively, ensuring it can meet its obligations, sustain all the operations, and also achieve its mission on time, over time, at the right time. And therefore, we're saying that financial stability is necessary to support the charity mission. What are the requirements for financial stability? And that's how we're going to, so we're starting on the agenda that we just discussed now. We said you will need to understand the financials of our charity. Maybe somebody will say, what do you mean by charity financials? we mean understanding charity financials. We mean you understand how money comes in. When it comes in, it might be donations, it might be grants. Maybe if in churches, it can be tithes, it can be offerings, it can be fundraising events for a charity, and how this money is being spent. What are the projects that we need to fulfill or complete? What are the conditions for those grants, for those donations? Are we having special offering for some reason, restricting some funds? Or in the organization, are we working with the council, with other project grant providers, with the European Union? Because European Union still funds some areas, in the United Kingdom, still fund some projects there. What are their requirements? How can we ensure we fulfill these requirements? So is the funding that's coming in, is it enough to fulfill all these projects? So that's what I'm saying about how the money is spent. And then we want to think, what are the fundraising expenses? We want to raise funds, but we still, spend some money in doing that. So we'll need to be aware of all that. And then we need to be aware, to be conversant with our cash flow reports. What is happening in the bank? We can't just say, oh, I leave it to the finance people. Leaders have to know what is happening. And then we want to see, how can we make sure we have something in the reserves for times that are challenging? We all just passed through COVID period where people, reduced their giving because they didn't have enough coming in and various things like that. Are we prepared for the inevitable? And then we want to know what are our expenses. We want to see on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, how much have we spent? We shouldn't just continue spending because the money is there. What are we achieving by making these expenditures? So that's number one. Understand your charity financials. Review the reports, make the reports, and make decisions based on these reports and the purpose you intend to achieve. The next thing we want to look at is about the accounting and bookkeeping practice. We are saying that accurately keep records. Don't just, if there is some money you are expecting, accurately document where it comes from. This can be by the use of a software like QuickBooks, like Xero, like Iris. We use and recommend QuickBooks for all our clients. Sorry, I just needed to bring somebody in, So we're saying accurately document all of them. Are we still seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Accurately document them. And then we're talking about budget. What is budgeting? We already know in advance, in the coming year, this is what we want to achieve, or even next month, this is what we want to achieve, because we must have a plan of what we want to achieve. We're not just existing as a charity there. What will it cost us to achieve this? Are we expecting enough funds for this? I've worked with a number of charities, and I noticed that many charities don't take budgeting serious. They think, oh, the money will come in. But supposing it doesn't. And supposing, on the other hand, one is wasting resources on an aspect they shouldn't be wasting resources on. Through budgeting, you are able to recognize that, and you are able to take the next step in the right and appropriate way. So now we also must want to be sure that we're following regulations, SOPs, statement of recommended practice, accounting practices, FRS 102, and so on. When you speak with an accountant, they'll, explain this, expatiate this further. But in our own cocoon or charity, we make sure that all the expenses are being analyzed and recorded appropriately, and all the expenses and all the income. In the past, or a few years ago, I have seen some charities that, they'll just write the income and expenditure, they'll just net them off, maybe for some projects, maybe they want to have a conference or something, and the conference, the attendees paid like £50 each. Maybe there were 100 attendees, and then the conference cost, that makes 5,000, and the conference costs like 2,500 to put together. They just net it off and say, we've already accounted for it. But it doesn't work that way. We've got to account for the income, account for the expenditure, know what we spent, know how we spent it, what we spent it on, and, be transparent in our reporting. This helps charities a lot because it gives confidence to donors, that are donating to the charity or giving grant or giving help, donating help to the charity, that yes, we know that we can, rely on what you're doing and that you are effective and proactive and can be trusted with what you are doing. So I said that apart from the reporting, regular reviews, check it out. Like I said earlier, don't leave it just to the finance team. Be part of it. So, and also, when we're talking about reporting, let others that are involved, stakeholder, know what is happening at every point in time. So, this helps with effective managing of the cash of each charity. So I'm going to admit another person now. Interesting. So the next thing that we want to talk about, we'll just go there now. Just need to get this right. That's I'm sorry, I've jumped on to the 4th page. But now we're in the area that we're talking about, effectively project and manage your cash flow. In order to achieve this, a structured approach is required. You see, we need to, just a moment, please. I just want to go back a bit. Okay, that's the page we need. So, always prepare cash flow forecasts. Apart from budget is based more on what you propose to achieve. Now, cash flow forecast is based on what you are expecting to receive initially, and then you kind of know that, okay, what can we work on to ensure that we are able to bring in more cash flow than what we were expecting. But it's by budgeting that we need extra here and that kind of thing. But now the cash flow is about the real life. What is your real experience? So when you are month in, month out, considering what the cash flow is, how much is in the bank this morning? Okay, by the end of the day, which is the end of the week, how much has come in? How much have we spent? You document all that. You have a rolling forecast of what is expected. Now, if it's less than what was expected that you kind of bring in, why? What's the variance? Why is the income lower than what we were expecting? Or perhaps the expenditure is higher. Why? This week, we normally spend 1,500 or 5,000 in the week. So why did we spend 7,500? You know, you ought to know all that. So I said cash flow forecasts are projections that help you understand whether there is sufficient fund to cover upcoming financial obligations. Now that we were expecting 10,000 this week and 7,500 has come in, what are we going to do to ensure that all the expenses of next month, that we can cover them? Why did we have less? We need to check all that. So we've spoken about effectively managing cash flow. So I just wrote down that about the structured approach that we required. Number one, we choose to develop cash flow forecasts. While developing that or preparing that, we make sure that in line with it, as I've explained, we monitor it. Is it happening the way we expected it to happen? Do we have a loan that we need to pay off and that, the deductions need to be made in that month? Now, with that in mind, are we achieving our budgets? If not, why is there a difference, which accountants will call variances? What is happening? And then, in line with that, we've got to optimize our payment schedules. I know some charities see it as extra work. In some cases, when you look at the invoices, it tells you pay on receipt. There are some invoices on it, you will see 30 days payments, conditions and that kind of thing. Review it. If we have to pay in 30 days, what will happen? Can they give us any reductions if we decide we are paying tomorrow? Is that, is there any incentive with the company? Check with them, ask them. But if there's no incentive, then maybe you will decide, okay, they want us to pay in 30 days from the invoice date. We'll make it 28 days, and then we will pay. Reason why you're doing that is because you want cash to be, available for emergency needs, things you didn't think of before, and then we now also consider, that's the bit about optimizing your payment schedules. Now, how can we build up a reserve? Some people say to me, oh, we don't have enough coming in and we have to do so many things. Why not ensure that your achievements or your plans are based on what you have at the moment coming in? So in order to be able to build a reserve up, and then you've got to diversify revenue. There are some charities that depend so much on grants. Why not consider, in case those grants don't come in? Because over the last few weeks, I have, been involved or been in touch with a number of charities that had various government grants and funding before. But the council is now saying, oh, no, we're sorry, we have to cut that off. Various things like that. Do you have other plans in place? Do you diversify revenue? Do you have fundraising events? How can you hold it if you've not had it in the past? These are some of the things that you get to be able to plan when you are budgeting, when you are having cash flow forecasts. And then there is a series of technology. We're in the age of technology. There are so many tools and apps and software out there that will help you to be able to ensure you have all these reports. You are able to take all the actions that help you to make decisions for your charity. Okay, so They all help you to meet your financial obligations. The next thing is requesting donations and grants promptly. Like I show in this image, timing is essential. It is very crucial in this case because you want to ensure that the projects and the mission that you are involved in are continuing. You won't have to stop them because of lack of funds. Whereas somebody has promised you some funds, but because you did not request on time, maybe one loses that fund, or it comes in at a time when, it comes in too late, So you want to be timely in getting that done. You want to ensure there are some grants that you've got to do the work first before the grant provider gives the grant. So you want to ensure that you request for the reimbursement in a timely manner. And then it helps to build trust with funders. It really, really helps to build trust when they see that you're very proactive about everything you need to do. They can trust that you will be working effectively as well. So the way you handle finances goes a long way, in establishing trust with funders and with other stakeholders. And then you also see that you are able to recover or recoup quickly and, have funding available where there are unexpected costs. And so that's another area where this is essential. So the next thing now is about grants and donations. You see, if a charity, it's important for a charity to have a guideline, to have a policy about this. How do we handle donations and grants? What grants or donations can we apply for? There are, based on your mission, there'll be some grants out there that you won't even think of applying for. Maybe because it doesn't align with your mission, or it might even be opposing your mission. So you don't want to just apply for any grant out there. And then you don't want to waste time in making applications or seeking donations from corporate bodies that their values do not align with the values of your mission. So you've got to, be able to give time to search out for this, but you need to have a procedure in place. You need to have a guideline in place that will enable you to do the right thing at the right time. So also, when you've applied, you want to be able to track. Okay, they promised us £5,000. They've given 2,500. When do they want to give the balance? Track it, check, know the timing. It helps you with your cash flow forecast and with your budgeting, which is, essentially planning for what the charity is going to achieve, the impact the charity is going to have within its mission. So everything you do, you also want to ensure that you are complying with all the regulations that align with your values. We've spoken, I mentioned the statement of recommended practice earlier on, and also another accounting policy that you need to adhere to. So we need to, but there are others, even in fundraising, other expectation from those who donate to the charity, from corporate donors, from individual donors, from government donors, Yes, and for you yourself, you want to ensure that you are complying with all the regulations that align with this. And then you want to have a continuous reporting, like we spoke about earlier on. And that's talking about transparencies, even in this, in reporting. You are not challenged to make a report on anything. You can comfortably say, this is how the money was spent, and you are able to, reveal everything that you need to reveal in order to be compliant. So that's some of, yes. So that is about implementing a solid policy for securing donations and grants. And you see, when there are bodies that give grants, some of them, they expect the reporting, maybe, you make sure that you are adhering to all these. Okay, so that's our number 5. Now to go to number 6, it's about expenses. Charities make the mistake of thinking, okay, I mean, I have the card, I can use it at any point that's required, and that kind of thing. They forget the budget. So number 1 thing that you've got to remember is it within what we have budgeted for? Is it within the approval of the members of the board? Did they approve this expense or expenditure? Do I need to go back to them to request for an approval? So as much as possible, you ensure that after creating the budget, you stick to it. So that means that within the budgeting procedure, you have a time of thinking. What do we need to do? How can we get it achieved? What are the areas that we need to develop better? It's a thinking time, a time of thinking with others, as well, in establishing a budget for your organization. So also in line with that, we've spoken a bit about budgeting, about cash flow, about recording. We're saying that you need to have established, clear, and strong financial policies, which nobody can override it. So many things have been happening in charities these days that you just wonder. And at times it's because people trust others so much. We need to be able to trust one another. However, we need to have the policies in place. We need to have the procedures in place. There was a time last year that we had a webinar on the triangle of fraud, that I think we will definitely repeat it this year sometimes, that 3 situations are supposed to be there, and then people will justify, fraudulent practices, which we need to guard against. It's not because we don't trust, it's because it needs to be in place. It helps us, it helps others as well that may not be as strong as we think they are, in handling finances, So there are software out there that will help us, in achieving this. And then we wrote here, regularly post ledgers. Let your ledgers be up to date. Don't just post it because the independent examiner is going to come and review it. No, monthly, weekly, post your ledgers. Be up to date. It also helps with decision making. When you can see what has happened over the last 3 months. Okay, the next 3 months, which is starting next week, how are we planning to either raise funds better or, fund a project that we're already working on? What other projects can we work on? All those things. Regularly review, your ledgers, but which means, you've got to have the ledgers up to date. That's the bookkeeping aspect. And as many of us will remember from when computers started, they normally say GIGO, which is garbage in, garbage out. If we don't do it properly, then we won't have the report that is required. So that's very essential, because our bookkeeping, if it's sound, It helps with our cash flow forecast. It helps us with our budgeting. It helps us with our reporting. It helps us, it increases, you know, the financial health of our charities. It helps trust, you know, like I said earlier, stakeholders will trust us better. It is up to date. Anybody can check. It gives us confidence. Anybody can check at any time. It's all there. So this is very essential. Up-to-date bookkeeping, regularly posting the ledgers. Then I spoke already about negotiating payment terms with our suppliers. And then another thing that I've not spoken about is separating restricted and unrestricted funds. Usually, I will encourage charities to separate them into different bank accounts because that helps much better. Because if a fund is restricted, it's not supposed to be used for operational purposes. What is it restricted for? Why have people donated to us? Why has that company donated to us? You know, it's different from, you know, just a general donation that was not specified. I'm going to admit another person. Okay. So I hope he's able to get him. So it's different from all the other donations that are not specified, you know. So we've got to separate restricted and unrestricted funds. And then we ought to have an approval process in place. Like, you know, if we have an approval process in place, we won't just, you know, like I said earlier about if we are the lead of the charity, we might have business cards for the charity in which we can make expenses on behalf of the charity and that kind of thing. But is it approved? You've got to check that. And part of the process of approval is ensuring somebody also signs it off that this is okay to spend. And like I said, check it, does it align with our budget? Okay. So if there is a need, a sudden urgent need, that's a different ball game. And, you know, we've got to get the others on the trustee board to be involved in the decision-making process. So I also said, conduct regular reviews. Don't wait until the year runs to an end to review the accounts, maybe after the independent examiner has approved it. No. Talk about it, discuss it in the trustee meetings. Review it. What's happening? Okay, we expected 100,000. We now received 110,000. Why did we receive that? Okay, the extra. Are we putting it in reserves for a purpose? Or what do we want to, you know, invest that on? You know, there are so many charities that try to ensure that their reserves is at least 3 months, you know, of their operational costs. Most of the time, I would suggest that the charity should ensure they have reserves of about 6 months. That will help a lot, you know. But so that's part of what has to be considered. So all these, they help in ensuring the financial health of the charity. So another thing that, you know, links very much with the last point is anticipating cash flow shortfalls. We spoke about reserves earlier on, and that's, you know, one of the reasons why we need to regularly monitor our cash flow. Our cash flow, is it coming in the way we expected? Is it going out the way we expected? Are we having extras? You know, then what can we do with the extras? Do we need to go ahead and do some fundraising event because we're not having enough? You know, various things like that. Do we need to encourage people to give? Do we need to go back to our donors? Do we need to have, to create, to kind of link up with some corporations? You know, we need to consider all that. The fact that we are charities doesn't mean we cannot be partner with corporations, which helps if there are corporations that are making profits and that can help us further, to further the mission. Our mission must be major in our hearts. So that's about, we've spoken so much about cash flow forecast, so I won't keep repeating myself on that. And then another thing is identifying risk periods. Like at times we'll find out that, a simple example are companies that they sell ice cream in summer. So what do they do in winter? You find out that many of them are doing something else. Perhaps they are selling coffee, hot chocolate, that kind of thing. They kind of consider what needs to be done, even though their major business is about ice cream. But they've got to consider what happens when money doesn't come in. What can we be doing? So these are some of the reasons why we need to diversify income sources. At times it might be, having a cake sale, doing something here and there, to help our charity. And then I spoke about engaging in scenario planning. What happens or what can we do if our turnover or income, as it were, is 90% of that of last year? What are the steps we can take to mitigate the situation, to ensure the risk doesn't pull down the organization or the charity, And then if we have extras of, 110%, what can we do? What else can we do? Do we want to invest that in another project, or do we want to keep it in reserves for, for the future? That. And then we said, engage the leadership and stakeholders. I spoke earlier on about involving the trustees, in decision-making on finances. Don't leave it to the treasurer alone. Don't leave it to the treasurer and the finance team alone. Get involved. I'm not saying do their work for them, but all I'm saying is about the report. Ask questions if you don't understand. Don't say, oh, that's them. No, make the decisions together. So I said by implementing proactive measures, a charity can mitigate risks and maintain operational stability. And then we're going on to number 8, which is our last point. But after that, we still have a few things to discuss. We said, build a dedicated and capable financial team. We've referred to the treasurer a number of times. Perhaps our charity is small and only the treasurer will handle all the things that pertain to finance, that pertain to reporting. Get involved. Help them out. Don't make it overwhelming that one day they just tell you, no, we're resigning. Get involved. But if we're at a stage where we can, employ finance officer or obtain outside help apart from for independent examination purposes, let's do it. So that's what I'm saying about building a dedicated and capable financial team. So have an accountant in place if possible. And if that's not possible, ensure that we bring in external support, that outsourced charity advisor or independent examiner. That's what we do. We help charities to achieve their purposes as we have identified or spoken of earlier on. So these are the areas that I am encouraging us to look at because they have been proven to help charities to ensure that they are stable financially. So it's not only about fundraising, it's about having the right structures, the right reporting procedures, the right decision-making information to be able to make sound decisions for the charity. Now, a summary. I said their good financial practices ensure accurate records and transparency. 2, cash flow management involves forecasting, monitoring, and having reserves for stability. And then number 3 is that good financial practices ensure we have accurate records and there is transparency there. And then we spoke about capable financial team. You know, with all these in mind, we're able to secure our charity's financial future. So at this point, before I continue, I want to ask, are there any questions? Does anybody have a question? Did we, at times I get concerned when people don't ask questions. I want to ask, do we understand? Did we get a message, you know, from what we have shared this afternoon? Oh, thank you. My very clear delivery. Okay, so I'll give us 1 minute to think. What will we clear information? Thank you. So after this session, what will you take forward in your charity or in the charities you are involved in? Because I know some of us here are leaders of charities, but some of us are involved in the charity one way or the other. Or some of us get involved as the need arises. What will you take forward? Can somebody please tell me one thing that they will take forward? I appreciate your comments so far. You can put it in the chat. I just want to give 1 minute for that. Right. Up-to-date knowledge in the charity finance world. Okay. Okay, nobody is answering that. Clear information, very clear delivery. All right. So let's think about it. After this session, if you would like to have the recording or snippets from the recording, please just presently add your email address to the chat or send me an email, you know, because these are essential for charities and we want charities to thrive. Okay. So if there are no questions, my next action will be, just a moment, please, to remind you of ways in which we can help your charities. We can help you. After this, we have offers coming on. So, but just to tell you ways in which we can help your charity, we can help you. We can help to support your charity as an external accountant. We can perform the independent examination of your accounts and records. That's what you should say, is because there must be something backing the accounts. And then we can review the effectiveness of your system setup. If you've got a system in place, we can review it for you. Is this appropriate? Is this sound? Is it forward thinking? And then we can help you in setting up the finance department, identifying all the responsibilities of each person, how they can perform it better, you know. And then we can also prepare bespoke financial procedures manual for your organization. And then we can also help you in digitizing your accounting system. You know, some people have that as a challenge and prefer to use Excel or other terms of reporting. But usually, you know, there's a lot of errors that take place. And thankfully, there are so many softwares out there, whether we are thinking of QuickBooks or others, Xero, Iris, and so on. But then, as I said, we recommend QuickBooks to our clients. So the offer that we have today, number one, I want to thank you for coming, making this time. I mean, creating, I know it's your break time, but creating this time to say you want to listen, you want to learn, and so on. So I want to thank you for coming along. And my name is Bim Ewetade. My email address is info@aeaccountants.co.uk. That email address, I mean, the emails will get to me no matter who opens it. And then my phone number, official phone number is 07541 465 529. And also our website is there. Now, our offer today is that if you came for this session, we want to provide outsourced accounting or advisory support for your charities. There is a 10% reduction on our prices for that. And then our others are that, our offers are, if you want snippets from the webinar or the webinar recording, we will also send that to you. Please request using that email address. And then we have a tax card on our website, which you can easily go into. And then also we listened to the Chancellor's spring statement yesterday. So we already have it also on our website, where you just need to add your email address and download it for yourself. And we will send it out to anyone that requests it, the PDF format. We're ready to do that if you request. So that's our would I say my submission for today. So as I said, do we have any questions? Another opportunity for questions. Okay, right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that clap. So this will be on our YouTube channel within the next 48 hours. So you can also visit there, and it would be great if you could subscribe to our channel. That's another thing that I would appreciate from everyone. So I want to say thank you once again for making time to come for this session. I hope you have some essential action that you're going to take in your charity. And yes, I very much wish everyone the very best. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Riley. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, I know it's a bit late now.
Okay.
Sorry. I wanted to find out, I know that you've mentioned so many things. I wanted to find out first and foremost about, when charities have interest coming in, that's allowed, isn't it? I heard you talking about that we need to find out if we have excess money coming in, where do we invest it in? So as a charity, will we be allowed to invest into profitable things, isn't it? Am I right?
Yes, many charities also have a trading section for their charities, a trading arm. But you need to be aware that for the trading arm, there are reports that will need to be made to HMRC. And also, if it's profitable, there may be need for paying corporation taxes on that area, on that section of the charity as a whole. So it will usually be called a trading arm. And at times it's a good idea to also register them as need be.
Okay, then if we earn interest on our savings account, is there any problem with that?
No, there is no problem.
Okay.
But the fact remains that, there is the level of interest you can earn. And, you know, as I said, it's like trading and having a profit. So at that stage, you might be liable to taxes, which I'm sure each of us will be ready to pay, because at least we've made more profit than what is, you know, being charged as the tax limit.
All right. Then finally, you said that you got a discount for people who have come onto this webinar today. How can we actually send out information about your business to people who have not been on the seminar today?
Thank you very much for that, and thank you for your concern. Like, where's the okay. What I'll say is let me just share the screen briefly. Right. Just a moment. Please, those are my details. My email address and you know, my contact number, which is that one. And can you take a screenshot of it, or what would you like to do? Or you want me to?
Yeah, I would have preferred if you give me something by either by email or WhatsApp, a snap view of something like this that I could actually forward to anybody I know that may well be needing some services, you know. So
I will do that. I will do that. I'll do that very much. And yes, Riley has reminded me that it depends on your governance documents. You also have to consider that. Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to invest? Are you allowed to invest? You know, it has to be written, and, you know, because these are some of the things that the Charity Commission considers. Now, there are times that you can do a variation on the governance documents. In that stage, you need to involve the Charity Commission. You need to let them know that, look, this is what we are doing. In our original governance document, it wasn't there, but now the members of the board have agreed that we can do this.
yeah.
So that's very important. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I will send you the details as you requested. I think I'll just send it to everyone online this morning, so that you can also share with others that need our services. Okay.
Yeah.
So there is this. I'm going to send those. Thank you for that. I'm going to send us this. Please check the chat. I want to just send every one of us this website.
Okay.
Which gives us some rules about fundraising. It's the Code of Fundraising Practice, which sets the standards and how to apply for it. So thank you very much. And then, like I always tell us trustees, that we need to be involved, we need to read, we need to be aware of what we're supposed to be doing. I'll send us this, please take this from me.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you for every support.
Are you going to send this to us as well? Because if you close the meeting, we won't get this.
Okay. CC14 is that. Okay, I will send it to you. Yeah, everybody that was on this meeting. But then remember that you can also access this webinar on our YouTube channel. So please
Okay.
subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. But I will send this. And if you need any other offer that we have made, please let me know. And we'll take it from there. So thank you very much for coming, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Have a great, great afternoon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye. I'm going to stop recording now.